The U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Let's bring in Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley. She's a former U.S. ambassador, also had foreign service postings in Israel, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. And she's now a distinguished non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council and joins us from Cleveland, Ohio. So first of all, what do you make of how the Trump administration has been handling its negotiations with Iran so far?
Thank you so much for having me, Ian. Well, I think the world has seen that they've been a moving target. And what will be most important for the administration to show at the end of this is that this war was worthwhile, that it, from the American perspective, moved us further along than would have been accomplished via negotiations. Whatever the Secretary of Defense has said in his daily press conferences, this war has not gone as expected from the administration. We have seen that from all of the different statements about what the war aims are and how they've changed day by day.
Your answer is, I guess we shouldn't be very surprised, very diplomatic, because there are critics of the government that would say there's a huge gap between what the Secretary of War and the President have said about how well the war is going. It's going to end ahead of schedule, a gap between that and what reality is. So what about what the government's saying about even negotiations with Iran? Do you believe that anything approaching meaningful negotiations is happening?
No, not yet. I think the president did his usual by coming out and saying that there was alignment and agreement on almost every point. Was a surprising thing to hear, shocking thing to hear on Monday. And when the Iranians came out and said nothing doing, in short, most of the world believed the Iranians. And as we've seen, the United States has now put forward a 15-point proposal, which begs the president's statement on Monday that already there was a great deal of agreement. So now we have to see what, in addition to the three goals that Israel has stated for decades and the United States has aligned itself on, eliminating ballistic missiles, ending support for proxies, and eliminating the nuclear program. And now, of course, the United States wants to collect whatever uranium has been enriched. What else is the United States offering? Because based on what we know, there is no alignment at all with what the Iranians want. And of course, they've put forward their own conditions.
The Middle East, I don't have to tell you, in fact, you could tell me a lot about it, is a complex place. It's a powder keg. It's a place that Western countries have been very delicate when they've dealt with that area with diplomacy. How do you feel about the Trump approach to the Middle East?
Well, any professional diplomat would tell you that when entering negotiations, an extraordinary amount of work is carried out beforehand. Preparation to set up the negotiators for success, for finding a meeting point so that both sides can claim victory. That's what it's all about. And knowing the Iranians very well, their history, not history that began in 1979, as President Trump keeps saying, but history that began in 1953 and before. The U.S.-Iranian relationship and the challenges from U.S. activities in Iran, plus the Iranians' long history. They don't have a long history of democracy. They have had strong governments traditionally. So to expect a deadline of 2 weeks, as the president gave in June, or 5 days, as he gave it Monday, shows a lack of understanding of the complexities that are Iran. Iran is not Venezuela at all, and they've proven it repeatedly since this war has begun.
If Iran is a long, complex book, let's look at the Trump chapter, and we can start maybe not 5 days ago, but maybe go back to last year. How do you think that chapter will end?
Well, I think as people do what we call an after-action review, we know what we wanted to accomplish. How did it go? There'll be some very hard questions asked inside the administration and certainly by the American people. The military goals, which we have seen change over the last month, but in fact, the military has accomplished what they were ordered to do, which is to degrade the military of the Iranians, the navy of the Iranians, to get air superiority, to get air control over Tehran, which they have done. So there may not be many complaints coming to the military, except for the lack of preparation for the closing of the Straits of Hormuz. Those who have been Iran watchers knew that that would be a logical step, and certainly the neighbors in the region expected to come under attack and expected the strait to be closed. But the political leadership, the political strategy is going to come in for the hardest questioning. If indeed the U.S. intelligence service, the Israeli intelligence service, the IAEA, the International Agency for Energy Agency, said that the Iranians were abiding by the Obama deal, why then was the U.S. pulled out of it? Is what happening now, could it have been done with further negotiations to strengthen the next phase of the deal and keep Iran at the low point of enrichment where they were before the Trump administration pulled us out in 2016? So there are going to be some very tough questions asked.
Gina Abercrombie-Winstanley, thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.